All right, so get ready to dive into something pretty big, pretty cosmic this time around.
Sounds exciting.
It really is. And you know how we do things here? Our listeners bring us the good stuff. And this time, well, we're taking a deep dive into Ewell J. Juliana's Saturnian Philosophy in Practice.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I got to say, this book, it's really got me thinking, like really thinking about how we build a life, life of real meaning and impact.
It's funny you should say that because that's exactly where Juliana takes us in the book.
Right.
He starts with something as grand and as, imposing as Saturn itself.
With the rings and everything.
Exactly, the rings, everything. And he kind of shows us how that energy can be like a blueprint for, well, as you said, a really fulfilling life.
Okay, see, this is what I love, because most people, myself included, we hear Saturn and we think, oh, limitations, restrictions.
Right. A little bit of doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom for sure, but Juliana, he flips that script, doesn't he?
He completely changes the perspective, yeah.
Yes.
He challenges us to see those so-called limitations like discipline, responsibility, even structure, to see them as tools.
Okay.
The very tools that we need to actually build something lasting, something significant,
I love that.
And it's like, just think about those rings for a second.
Yeah.
They're boundaries, right?
Yeah.
But within those boundaries, there's just this incredible potential for creation.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Just like the beauty and the order of those rings.
Yeah. Instead of Saturn being this, harsh taskmaster, it's like he's, this wise mentor, this guide.
Right, showing us the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Showing us the way, exactly. And this is what I find so fascinating, Juliana. He doesn't just stop at personal growth and development. He connects it outwards.
Right?
To how we function in relationships and communities and society.
Yeah, it's all interconnected.
It's like these Saturnian principles, they're applicable to everything.
They are, and he illustrates this beautifully by bringing in this idea that we exist within these layers of influence.
Okay.
Almost like, think of it like concentric circles.
Okay.
And each one of those circles affects the other.
Ooh, I am very intrigued. Tell me more about these concentric circles of influence.
All right, so right at the center, the core, you have your own personal universe, right? This is where you're building those routines, you're setting those goals, you're working on yourself, and then radiating outward from that, you have this circle of relationships, the close ones, family, friends, the people you work with, those you're interacting with, most closely. And then beyond that, you have the larger community, your neighborhood, your school, your workplace, these larger systems.
Yeah.
And then finally, you have this outermost circle, this all-encompassing circle, which is, well, society as a whole.
Society with a capital S.
Exactly, with all of its systems, its structures, everything.
Okay, I think I'm starting to see how this all connects, but I got to ask, how does Saturn, this planet, how does it fit into all of this?
Yeah.
How do we actually use these Saturnian principles in our lives?
Yeah.
What does this look like on a Monday morning?
That's a great question, and I think it's a question a lot of us have,
Yes, sir.
And luckily, Juliana, he answers it. He takes us on this journey through each of those circles, shows us how Saturn's wisdom, it applies at every level.
Okay, I'm ready to go on this journey. Let's start at the beginning.
Right.
That inner circle, that me, myself, and I level. What does it even mean to live Saturn style in our normal everyday lives?
I like that Saturn style.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, this is where we're really talking about those classic Saturnian traits. Discipline, routine, this commitment to building a really strong foundation. Juliana, he talks about the power of starting each day with intention.
Okay.
Setting those goals, sticking to a schedule, even when it's tough.
I got to be honest. I used to think routines were kind of, boring.
Yeah.
Like I was trapping myself.
Right.
But then I tried sticking to a morning routine for a while.
Okay.
Getting up early, meditating, I actually made myself breakfast.
Nice.
And honestly, it kind of changed things for me. I felt more focused. I had more energy.
Wow.
I felt ready for whatever.
It's amazing how much of a difference those little things make, right?
It really is.
Yes.
It's like Juliana says, those small actions, those consistent actions, they create this ripple effect outwards.
Exactly, that ripple effect. That's how we move from that inner circle to the next one, the relationships in our lives.
Okay, yeah, because if you're grounded, you're disciplined in your own life, you bring something different to those relationships, right?
Absolutely.
And this is huge for me because, work relationships are a big part of my life.
I hear that.
And I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate.
For sure.
So does he talk about work at all?
He does. He talks about it a lot, actually.
Okay.
He really emphasizes setting those clear boundaries.
Between work life and personal life.
Exactly. Which, honestly, in our world, it's a very Saturnian concept.
It's true. I mean, we're always on, right?
Always on.
So it's about creating healthy structure, kind of like those rings around Saturn.
Yeah, so that work life, personal life, they can both be their best.
So instead of burning out, we're actually more effective when we have those boundaries.
Exactly. And it's not just about managing your time, it's also about how you communicate.
Oh, okay.
About accountability. Juliana reminds us that Saturnian responsibility, it's not about pointing fingers.
Yeah.
It's about owning your actions, being clear with your communication, showing up.
Okay, yeah, it's like that saying, like clear communication, strong relationships, or something like that.
Right, exactly.
All right, so we've talked about personal stuff, we've talked about work. What about that next circle out, that community level?
Yes.
How does this whole Saturnian philosophy, how does it reach that part of our lives? See, this is where it starts to get really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Like, we can take this Saturnian energy, use it in our own lives, our relationships, but can it really change an entire community?
It's a really interesting question.
Right?
It really is, and Juliana seems to think so.
Okay.
He says that when they actually embody these principles, responsibility, discipline, this long-term vision, it creates like this ripple,
Okay.
and it affects everything around them.
So, like, what does that look like practically?
Okay, well, imagine a school, right?
Okay.
Where teachers, administrators, they really prioritize clear communication, consistent expectations,
They're like on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. And they're focused on, building character in addition to knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being strict or controlling. It's about creating, almost like Saturn's rings, a structure.
A container?
Yeah, a container where students feel safe and supported, where they can really, reach their potential.
And that kind of environment, that's got to be good for everyone, right? The teachers, the students, even the parents.
Right, exactly, because it does take a village.
It really does.
And that brings us, I think, to that outermost circle.
That big S, society.
Yeah, society, exactly. And Juliana, he challenges us here, you know?
Yeah.
He asks, are our current societal structures, like our institutions, the systems, are they really built for the long term? Are they sustainable?
It's so funny you should say that, because I was just reading this article the other day. It was talking about how short-term thinking, like everywhere, politics, business, even just our own lives, it's contributing to so many of the problems that we're facing.
And that's exactly what Juliana's getting at, right? He's calling for the shift back to those Saturnian principles.
Okay.
Patience, perseverance,
Yeah.
Building something that lasts.
So it's not just about me, it's not just about you, it's about all of us, right?
It's about recognizing that we're all part of this much bigger thing.
And all our choices, big or small, they matter.
They really do. And that brings us to Juliana's, I think, most important question, the one he really wants us to sit with.
Okay, what's the question?
How do you want to be remembered?
Whoa, okay, that is a powerful question, I'm not going to lie.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, because in a world where everything is like instant right now,
Yeah.
Juliana is asking us to slow down.
To think about the bigger picture.
Yeah, to think about the legacy that we're building, and not just for ourselves, but for everyone who comes after us.
Yeah, exactly. And he reminds us that building a legacy, it's not about, fame or fortune.
No.
It's about living with purpose.
Yeah.
Making choices that align with your values,
Yeah.
contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, if we embrace these Saturnian principles, discipline, responsibility, all of that, we can reach our own potential, but we can create a better future for everybody.
That's the heart of it, yeah. Juliana's philosophy, it's like this call to action,
Yeah.
It's an invitation to step into our power, but not through force, not through control, but through making conscious choices, through taking action, through really committing to creating a world that thrives,
I got to say, I'm feeling incredibly, incredibly inspired right now, and a huge thank you to you for taking us on this incredible journey.
My pleasure.
It's amazing how something like Saturn, this planet, can teach us so much about how to live our lives.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. There's always more to learn, though, isn't there?
There really is. And to everyone listening, if this deep dive resonated with you, we highly recommend checking out Yul J. Juliana's book. It is full of even more wisdom, more practical advice about how to bring that Saturnian energy into your life. And until next time, keep those cosmic wheels turning. And remember, the power to create a meaningful life, a better world, it all starts within each and every one of us.
Well said.
See you next time.